Good evening. Welcome to Life and Style with Francyne. I am your host, Francyne Walker. Fam, let me tell you something. I have truly missed you all, but I definitely needed a break after last year, between doing 60 plus shows. Whoop, whoop. I just needed to take a break and really reassess where I was and how we were going to take the direction of the show for 2021. But guess what? Here we are. Happy New Year. Happy Love Month. And joining me today, how appropriate. You guys have probably been in this panini and thought, man, I need some love in my life. Well, you have tuned in to a very special show that is very apropos. Joining me today is Kimberly Mcgowan. She is the badass Maven matchmaker, sex and relationship coach. Please join me in welcoming Kimberly to the show. Hey, Kimberly.
Hey, Miss Francyne, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm super excited. Yay.
I am too. We love to talk about relationships and just love, and we want to be in great love relationships, marriage, dating, all those things. We definitely aren't in the mood for heartbreak. But tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got in this line of work.
Absolutely. So I've been in this industry since 2016, and I've always loved love. So it was like a no-brainer, but I just didn't know how to go about to make that transition, going from corporate America into having my own business. And it wasn't until one day I came home and Steve Harvey was talking about it's never the right time, to just do it, to just jump. And after watching that broadcast, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is something you want to do. Now is the time to do it. And so I just did it. I didn't take the time to think about it because I probably would have talked myself out of doing it.
Sure.
So I just took the leap and I never looked back. So that's kind of what forced me to get going. And I love what I do. When I say I love love, like I feel like, it's encouraging when you see other couples and, you want that for yourself. You want that authentic love, someone who's down with you no matter what, the ups and the downs. I mean, I think everybody wants that person, their person. And so how I got into this business was not just loving love, but I would actually hear people say how there aren't any good women or there aren't any good men that are left out there. They're all taken,
Sure.
And it's such a misconception, right? So we tend to think that, because I haven't run into, anyone that I value or that's for me, that they aren't out there. But that couldn't be further from the truth. There are tons of good men and women out here. And so, yeah, it was just a matter of hearing those comments and realizing, there's a space, there's a gap here, there's a need. And so, yeah, I just thought this is what I need to do. And so since it's something that I love to do, and it's a similar way I met my own husband, I thought this is all just lining up. It's a no-brainer.
And, we love to follow and take, advice, coaching from someone usually that has borne fruit, right? It was like, okay, they're successful. They have a relationship. They are married. And I believe you've been married at least 20 years with two grown children, correct?
Yeah, correct. So it's going on 22 years. I mean, I lose count, right? But we're going on 22 years of marriage. And, and let me just say this. I think when people hear that people have been married for 20 years or 30 years, it's a great love story, but each love story has its challenges. So it's not like it's just this plateau where everything is great. And honestly, you want a relationship that's going to challenge you, that's going to cause you to grow. And so that is what my marriage has been. It has been the ups and the downs and the growing and being able to push each other, to different levels. And so I appreciate that. And I think any good relationship will cause you to do that. So, yeah, it's been a journey for over 2 decades, and we have 2 grown children.
Yeah.
One in her late 20s, and the other one is a young adult in college, freshman in college. So we're just, really want to just enjoy the empty nest, if you will. So yeah, it's a good time.
It's worthy to acknowledge that you are the only Black certified matchmaker in the Wisconsin area. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, that is correct.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, yes, to my knowledge.
It's refreshing because I actually posed a couple of informal surveys on my social media pages asking if you would use, asking my friends, would you use a professional matchmaker? And someone said yes, because, and I know you've heard this person, and I almost hate to say his name, but KS. Yeah, I would use a professional matchmaker because KS says that the men that I need to align with aren't on dating apps. And I was like, egads, clutch my pearls. And it's like, really, do you ascribe to that guy? So, it's refreshing to have a woman of color out here, to balance out. First of all, what's your thought on this guy is not certified at all? He was, worked in the mall somewhere, what I mean? And then, but it's like here you have, you're certified and you're a relationship coach, sex coach, which we're going to talk about. So what are your thoughts on online dating? Do you think that you should consult a matchmaker, or should you cover all angles, as it relates to finding someone, you want to spend your life with?
I definitely don't think anything's wrong with online dating. Millions of people are online and they have had successful relationships, whether that led to something that was long term or led to marriage. So it works, right?
Sure.
But it's not for everybody. And so what's nice is that, it allows people to have options, right? So
Yes.
you can choose to have a matchmaker. It depends on where you are in your life. There are some people who have just come out of a long-term relationship and they just want to test the waters. They just want to see what's out here. They may choose to go on dating apps just to kind of see and get a feel for it. The only thing I would say about dating apps is to really be careful and
Sure.
to really protect yourself and make sure that the person is who they say they are, and do your homework on people that you're dating when it comes to online apps. But definitely don't see a problem with that. In terms of matchmaking is a little bit more strategic. I think
Talk about that.
Someone who hires a matchmaker, they are definitely ready, right? They didn't just come out of a relationship. They are ready. They've been in, the dating game for a while and they haven't had any success. So now they're at a place where, I'm doing something wrong or I'm not connecting, it's something. I want to hire someone to actually do this job for me so I can take the pressure off myself. And that's what a lot of people do. They're busy or they tried it, online dating or whatever it is, and they're just not finding that success. So they hire someone. It's no different than hiring a health coach, right? So when you decide you want to go on this diet and, but you're not seeing success, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm doing all of these things that they say I should do and I'm eating right, but the weight isn't coming off. Well, your coach is going to tell you some other things that you need to do to get that excess weight to come off. It's no different than what a matchmaker does, right?
Yeah.
So we're in the trenches and we know. And so that's what people hire a matchmaker for, essentially. So it depends again on where you are in your life on whether or not a matchmaker is a good fit for you. Now, the other thing I will say, it depends on, like, some people feel like, well, hiring a matchmaker can be pricey. It's not something that you're going to find that's going to be on a cheap scale, right? It's just not. Most matchmakers are pretty much going to charge you $5,000 or better, right? Depending on the clientele status and their status, right? But the good thing about that, you're making an investment in yourself. And so
Yeah.
sometimes people aren't ready to make that investment, and that's okay. You have to know where you are in your space and then also be able to navigate that space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then we also give advice too. So even if you came to me and said, I'm not at a place where I really want to invest in a matchmaker, I'm here to give advice and tips and things of that nature, because I really want all of us to have our special someone. And I do believe, and this is my philosophy, is that I do believe that God intended for everyone to have a help. I really do.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting because when I think about, because God knows I need a trainer right about now. And it's like, and somebody to say, don't eat that. But I have found in the past, when I've had a personal trainer or when I signed up for like an eating program, like Weight Watchers, for example, and I invested in myself, I had to put some money out, but I was more apt to be committed. I was in it to win it. So it makes sense that you would you would make that investment, because I'm sure you're holding your client accountable through the whole process. Now, how long is the matchmaking period?
right.
What's the deliverables? And how do you know, do you have them go on several dates? How does that work, Kimberly?
So basically, it's all based upon the package that you select for yourself. So there's options, and again, it depends on what you're looking for, what's going to work best for you. So it's customized. And so you take that package, and the package can be a 12-month program, which I highly recommend. I think it really takes going out on a couple dates. And sometimes you hit the jackpot and you only need to go out on that one date, and this is my person, right? But in the event that does not happen, I think a 12-month package is really the best package, because it allows you to have that flexibility.
Okay.
That being said, though, the goal is to connect you out on a date that I set up for you, right? So it is my job as the matchmaker to select a place, and I don't, on the first date, and I think I said this before, I do not do dinner dates. Your first couple dates are not dinner dates. I feel like a dinner date is very romantic. It's very romantic, and you're not in that romantic space. Not after the first couple dates, right? Your first date, I think, should be something that's a little bit more laid back, maybe something that's more engaging, where I can actually get to know you. So maybe we can go for coffee. I can learn a little bit more about you. You know what I mean? What is it that you like? And granted, the matchmaker knows what you like because it's on paper. Like, you've already told me what your interests are, what your values are. I got all of this stuff on paper. So I know exactly what it is what you want. But now you're talking to the other person, and you're making sure that this person aligns with what you say that you want. Because sometimes people will say things and it's not necessarily who they really are. But when you're having a conversation, you get to really see what a person is all about. So I definitely recommend coffee dates first date. After the first date, and you want to go on a second date, I will make the second date as well, right? And so the second date would probably be something a little bit more fun-filled, right? Maybe it might be golf, although not right now because I'm in Wisconsin, and so I don't know if you've heard about the weather here, but it is a lot of snow. But you want to do something fun, and I get it. This is COVID, and so the other thing with it being COVID and wearing your mask, you want to make sure that everyone that you interact with has been tested. I think that's just a given.
Yeah. Now, do
know,
you administer that? Because that would be a concern for me, meeting someone in person. Do you ensure that happens where it's like, you know, present a test before you make that date, you know, before you solidify that date, where it's like, did you get tested? Did you get tested? Is that something that you kind of shepherd, or are you trusting the two people to have some integrity and do that on their own? You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we're all adults here.
Yeah.
And, but that being said, it is so important that I protect my clients. And so I am going to ask to see your COVID test. I am going to ask to see that.
Yeah.
I am going to ask, you know, because here's where I stand on that. It's no different than our background checks that we do, right? We do background checks. And the background check is not to see about your credit. That's not what the background check is for. The background check is really to make sure, A, that you are single, that you're not married, and you're posing as someone who's single.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
That is hugely important. And then second of all, you know, you want to make sure that the person doesn't have any criminal background that could be a hindrance to your client, right? So a background check is definitely it's done. It's not a question about it. It's required, right? So you have to be comfortable in being able to do a background check. And so with that, you know, COVID is mandatory. You have to have that if you're going to meet in person. Now, during this COVID season, a lot of people are doing virtual dates, and that's awesome as well. And, you know, people are making plans to connect after COVID is over. You know, however you want to do it, because a lot of my clients are not in the state that that I live in. So, you know, you have to, you know, understand that too. So having the COVID and being able to virtual date, it's a whole new world. And so now you have to be creative. Well, how do I do a virtual date? What does that look like? You know, and the way you do that is that you still have a romantic setting in your home, right? So I'll give you an example. So what I do is I will have like my clients, you know, set up a nice space and have dinner prepared. And then the person that they're going on a virtual date with will have dinner prepared in the nice space. So now you're just like we are, but now we're eating our dinner together and we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to find ways to get creative during this season. But to answer your question, a COVID test is highly, highly required.
And I would imagine that the coffee dates, you know, I've seen different discussions, you know, about a coffee date. For me, a coffee date is so cool, you know, because there's a coffee house right down the street from me. If I can shoot there, and it's like, if there's no chemistry, because chemistry is very important, you know, because we can have the same interest, and, you know, as we've, you know, you've aligned us based on our similar interests and backgrounds, and there's no chemistry. So it's like, if I get to the coffee house and it's like, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We've had coffee.
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
You get to the coffee house, and how do you know there's no chemistry? So tell me how you align no chemistry.
I can usually, it's just a feeling, you know what I mean? Like, my thing is when, like, I have a lot of masculine energy, right? So I tend to, you know, so I don't mind I don't mind making the first move. However, in this particular case, if you had set me up with someone, and I met them at the coffee house, I would it would just be something that I would feel, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not getting a reading. However, maybe I might give it a second date, another coffee date just to see. So I might say three and out. If it's nothing after 3, okay.
Yes. Yes. That's what I was looking for, because a lot of times what happens is that first time we meet somebody, we're so quick to judge that one encounter.
Yes.
And we don't give that person a chance. And then only to find out like 2 days later, like, oh my God, I almost gave up someone who was really good for me. Right?
Yeah.
So it was good to hear you say that 3 number. So that was good to hear. So now that's what I wanted to know.
But here's the thing also, Kimberly, if it were not, now here's the other thing, because they have to want to go on a second date too. So if it were, which I like the matchmaker process where you are kind of like the mediator, and it's like, well, okay, just give it a second. But on my own, if someone decided, because you kind of know, they will say on the first date, so where we going, when's our next date? You know what I mean? Because so then it's like, okay, I'm getting a reading here. So it's like, we'll go on the second date. But if they chose not to, then, you can't force anybody to do something that they don't want to do, because you don't want to be with anybody, because we're all investing in this service, right? So it's like, we definitely are not trying to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with us. That's no fun. That's not even the name of the game. That's not the objective.
So you bring up a good point. So what happens after the date is what we call a debrief, right?
Yeah.
So after the date is over, I'm able to sit with my client and get a feel of what they take away from this date. How was it for them? Did they feel that the person, found them attractive? Did they feel that the person was standoffish? Like we go through the conversation. Then after that conversation, I also talk to the person that went on the date with my client to get their feedback too. And so I'm able to kind of see where the chips are and what's really going on, because maybe the person was nervous and they didn't communicate well. They weren't standoffish. They just, was a little nervous on the date. And so, so then that allows me to go back to my client and say, you know what, let's give it a second date. Now, obviously, everybody who doesn't have a matchmaker, they just was like, well, if that person wasn't into me, I don't want to go out with them again because they weren't talking to them, but they were standoffish and it was just a disaster.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens. But when you do have someone who is like a third party, you're able to kind of navigate those waters to really make sure that it is a good fit. But if someone were to say, you know what, oh my God, this person had, their breath was just, I just cannot tolerate that. So that speaks to their hygiene.
Yeah.
That it's, it happens. It's like, you show up at a date and then you have bad hygiene. Who can defend that? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that says a lot about the person.
Yeah. Yeah, client protection. So it's a possibility that might happen in the worst case scenario, not necessarily saying any of your clients, but that could happen where, it could have been something you ate earlier or whatever. One of the things I can, appreciate about your service as we're talking is you kind of nudge people along, because we get so caught up in our own patterns. Like, it's like when you do the debrief and it's like, and so you try and nudge your clients along to move, get out of your way.
Right. And that's the reality of it, right? Because we do that unintentionally. We do that. And so sometimes you need someone to help you realize that, so that you can get beyond that and get to the next level. But to answer your question, no, I did not have a client that had that. It was not one of my clients. However, it was someone that my client was set up with, that was matched with my client, and my client was kind of like, it's a no for me because of that. And so it speaks to, hygiene, and it also speaks to how prepared were you to go out. You're meeting someone for the first time. You're going to make sure, I would think, just like my client was thinking, that, if I did just eat something or something, I'm going to take a mint. I'm going to do something to try to make that situation a little bit better if I know I'm going out on a date with someone. So and there were some other things too. So overall, it was kind of like it was a done deal for
but
my
at the
client.
end of the day, you are in the business of making connections. I think about one of my favorite shows years ago. It wasn't that much long ago, but the Millionaire Matchmaker, and how she was like, she would get in you, and I can imagine you might be, the same way, where it's like, blah, blah, where it's like, you're shaking the person, not physically, but it's like,
right,
get out of your way, get out of your head. So, what do you think about, so what are some of the limitations first that a person might have when you're, that a potential client might have, as far as what they desire and what they are offering? I'm a social media, I do manage social media accounts. So that's one of the things that I do in addition to the show. And so I'm always what's trending and whatnot, so that I'm, I can assist my clients better. And one of the things was, someone was talking about, B. Simone was talking about, if you want a family man and you ain't talked to your mama, and you want a man with good teeth and you ain't been to the dentist in 6 years. So one of those things where we want certain things, but we're not that thing that we're desiring. We want someone that's got a 6-pack, and you don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what do you think about that, as far as being what you're looking for?
I don't think that you have to be what it is you're looking for.
Oh.
Because someone is looking for you.
Hey.
The way you are. So it's not a tit for tat kind of thing, right? So you can have, I'll use myself as a prime example, right? So when I was dating my husband, and I had a child from a previous relationship.
Sure.
And but one of the things I said was, I don't want somebody with children. So you would think, well, you're asking for something that you're not bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
But it was my preference. So if people are asking for something in a relationship, that's their preference, and they are allowed to ask for that. It doesn't mean that they have to have that same thing to offer, because the person who wants them may not be looking for that.
Oh, girl.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That is good. That is very it's hopeful. You know what I mean? Where you just present your best self, and because it's like I said, it's like between these COVID cheeks and this little, my food baby, it's like, but I still don't necessarily want someone who has a food baby. You know what I mean?
But it's so funny though, because I have some clients that to me, that they're full figure, and they're always talking about how they need to lose weight, and they want someone with the 6-pack. And to your point, it's kind of like, well, I need to lose weight because I'm asking for this person with this 6-pack, and I don't have a 6-pack. And I tell them what I just said to you. If you are comfortable being a size 6, be a size 6. But if you're comfortable being a size 12, you better own that size 12.
Yeah.
Because the one thing is
right?
that's it. It's confidence, right?
Yeah.
It's confidence. And that's the one thing I really try to instill in my clients. understand wherever you are in life, own it. Even if you're trying to travel somewhere else, own where you are right now.
Yeah.
And then as you're traveling along the way, move in that confidence.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Oh, that felt good. You know, it felt good because I think at the end of the day, you see it all the time. We're our own worst critic, which is why we get in our own way. It's like, but this isn't done. And, and this is out of place and that is out of place. So I could see the benefit and the value in having someone in your ear, because we all do it. You know what I mean? Where we talk ourselves out of something and your friend who says, girl, you better apply. You better go ahead. It's like you are fabulous, even if you are not. And even if you are normally somebody who talks to yourself and looks in the mirror and says, I love you, and right on the mirror with a lipstick, every now and then we catch that negative thought. So sometimes we need someone to shake us away from that negative thought, because we can hold on to it for a long time, And the COVID, I said when I was teasing the show, I said, the panini is in the air, but love still reigns. You know what I mean? And I say panini because I'm just tired of calling it a pandemic. I refuse, let's call it Panera Bread, something, so we feel a little better as we get through this. But it's like people are making love connections and being very creative. When it first started, I think I was watching something and the girl said she met the guy and they did what you suggested. They did a virtual dinner date. They had their food and they had their food. So it's so many, just like you and I connecting right now, that is a way, to connect. So talk a little bit about, because I could probably talk to you forever, but I'm not going to hold you forever, but I want to talk a little bit about the sex and the relationship coaching aspect. Is that a totally separate service, or does that come as part of your matchmaking service as well? Can you do that separate? Like if you don't want to have the matchmaking service, because what if I'm already dating 2 or 3? Because that's okay.
Definitely is highly recommended. But to your point, absolutely. If you are already in a relationship, you're not looking to be matched up with anyone, and you're just looking to get some coaching, whether it's to make your relationship better, stronger, healthier, or if you have some sex related concerns or things of that nature, definitely you can do that separate. And the one thing that I come across a lot when it comes to the sex piece in a relationship is that what I'm finding is that I'm of a particular age myself, and what I'm finding is that people in the age realm of myself over 40 are wondering what's a normal healthy sex life. They're trying to figure it out because it's like, okay, well, me and my significant person, we're having sex probably once or twice a week, and I'm talking to my girlfriend, and her and her guy, they're having sex like 4 or 5 times a week. So what is normal? So that's the thing that I'm finding most common that people are coming to me about, making sure that there's nothing wrong with them and their relationship. And it's like, everyone's different on that, but
So do you identify, or have you, I know, and it's different for everyone. Everyone's sexual needs obviously are different based on a number of things, right? So do you find is one of the scenarios might be where the person is not really receptive to that person's needs, because I find that sometimes I observe where it's like women are not just here for consumption, they're trying to get theirs too,
Right. Absolutely.
And sometimes
Absolutely.
we're stuck where it's like we don't know how to communicate that. Is that something that you would definitely delve into and help a potential client in developing a voice where it's like, okay, this missionary position is old and stale, and you know what I mean? So because you said it, you believe everyone should have is destined and to have a relationship. And obviously I know you haven't been in this business this long to hook up two people in a negative situation. You know what I mean? So is that like a scenario that you would address?
Absolutely. I mean, we're sexual beings, right?
Yeah.
And we are in a time right now where it's okay to express your sexuality. And women are more than ever are expressing their needs. And that is phenomenal. I love that. I love that. I love that. The problem is that they're able to voice their needs to other people besides the person they're in a relationship with, right? So that has been the common conversation, and it comes with what is my partner going to think or say. I don't want my partner to feel bad, and we can have those conversations. Number one, the conversation is needed. It's required in order for you to be satisfied. It's a no-brainer to have that conversation. But it's the way you deliver it. And that's with anything, right? And, I tell my female clients, just sit, just like we're talking, just sit down and, well, he's sensitive, right? Okay, well, if he's sensitive and you don't want to have the conversation, show him. In the midst of your love making, your sexual act, show him how to touch you. Show him, but make it fun. Don't be like a dictator. You know what I mean? Because there's a way to get your point across where it's receptive. And I think we just have to find those ways because everybody's partner is different. Where one partner might be open to having a conversation about it, another partner might want you to just show me, display it to me so that I can see what it is that you need. And I think having that conversation and not being afraid to have a conversation is the first step. But then the other thing that I don't want to miss out on saying this, Francyne, because it's so important. When it comes to our sexual relationships, right now we are in this pandemic, and let me say it does play a huge part. It has a huge impact on sex in a relationship. The reason being is because anytime you have any type of like mental anxiety, anytime there's other factors that are going on, it's going to affect your libido. Okay, so sometimes we need to take a back seat and see what's going on around us, because it may not be you may not be the issue, right? But if that person that you're in a relationship with is dealing with a lot of outside factors, and we all know that with the Black Lives Matter and there's so much that's going on in our world today, it's like, what is my partner bringing home? What are some of the issues that they're going through that may keep them, from wanting to have sex or, lessen their sex drive? So I think those are huge components that we have to factor in when it comes to, our sex lives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I know for me, just speaking from a personal standpoint, my anxiety is like, and all the different things. It's, from March 2020 through almost March 2021, from the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, the election, the insurrection, all of those things, how about 500,000 almost a 500,000 death toll. I was reading something about this anticipating this tsunami of grief, that we're all experiencing collectively. You go on Facebook, it's like somebody, 4 or 5 people in one day, pass away. So it's just something where we have to definitely get, Kimberly, I see you. It's just something that we have to think about when it comes to we're coming. She's coming back. We just had a little bit of a shift. I felt that shift,
Sorry
Kimberly.
about that.
That's okay. No, we're good. We're good. I felt but it's one of those things where we have to be cognizant of where we are and have those conversations, right? It's all about communication, where it's like, hey, I'm feeling some anxiety because I feel like, honestly, and just real talk, it's like, man, I'm single. And with a desire to move towards 1+1, I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm denouncing being the third wheel in 2021 or the fifth wheel. Or the wheel, if it's 3 couples, or if it's 2 couples, or if it's 1, I'm denouncing that. So it's like, but also thinking about, I get to be pretty selfish, where it's like, if I'm feeling depressed, I'm not going to do today. But if I had a partner, I would have to be cognizant of that other person, But I'm depressed because, man, this didn't happen, or, these protests or whatever it is, it's all triggering. The Capitol, that was the siege on the 6th. That was triggering for me, a lot of Black people, watching that mob attack democracy, just even looking at it in retrospect, triggering just from our DNA, you know what I mean? Just from what we experienced from our lineage. So it's like, oh God, that was a lot, and our bodies are processing that. So just thinking about how it's like being cognizant of the fact that I'm single, and if I don't want to do today, I don't have to do today. I don't have to worry about cooking, or you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
But being cognizant.
It's called enjoying your singleness.
Hey, you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, moving towards coupledom, thinking about, I would have to communicate, babe, I'm feeling a little bad. Like you said, it's like, I don't feel like sex, so it's like, okay, we got to do something. So I like how you brought that up, because that is because we're going through something that is unprecedented. We're mourning a year that we lost so much and didn't get to do half the things that we had aspired to do. Including dating, because I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm staying in the house, and yes, the virtual thing was actually an option, but I was just so shaken by what was going on. So here we are a year later. It's like, oh, we're not losing another year not dating. So I'm glad we're able to talk about, because love still happens, and there's people right now, that are doing it. And I just, wanted you to come on and just talk about some of the things, because I think that is a wonderful investment, because it's like anything else, you invest in, you're going to get your return if you do the work, right? So
Absolutely.
Do you find sometimes that people get stuck even though they've paid their money? You know what I mean? Where it's like they're still moving differently, or moving in the same pattern.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What I find is that people who make this investment are excited, and people who make this investment
Yes.
are like, okay, well, what happens next? What happens next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's almost like, okay, just, you know, you have to slow it down a second. They are ready to do the work, and I think you have to be ready to success. And so
What's your
that's hugely
demographic of, what's your composite of your typical client? Is it mainly because it's like, listen, trust me. I just talked to my girl, Chris. Listen, we are marriage material, and you put your mind to it. We've just been single and enjoyed it. So now it's like, okay,
Yes.
I'm ready to get married. You know what I mean? So what is so I know there are men out there. So what's your typical demographic as far as, do you have like 50%, 40% women, 60% men? What's your percentage as far as your clients? What do you see typically?
So my ratio, and it shifts, right? It does change. As of today, my ratio right now is like 60% women.
Okay.
It is 60%. And that speaks to women taking more control of what it is they want. And so I love that. I love that. But that's a representation of that for sure.
Yeah.
So 60% women right now.
Speaking of taking control, I want to dial back. I said something playfully but serious about dating 2 or 3. And you said, oh, absolutely, you should. Talk to why that is important to do and why you advise that.
Absolutely. It is so important when you're dating to date at least 2 different, you know, men if you're a lady, or, you know, vice versa. But the reason why I say I'm having technical issues, I do apologize. But the reason why I say that is because, number one, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, and you should never do that. You should never put all your eggs in one basket. And really what you're doing is you're getting to know someone. So what's wrong with getting to know multiple people? And I say this all the time, just because you're dating multiple people does not mean that you're sleeping with multiple people. So that's
why
also,
do you think
you know,
have
something
to keep
that's
saying
different.
that, Kimberly? Why do you think I think it's important. I find that is always common. That's a common disclaimer when we're referring to women dating multiple people. Is that a double standard?
It is because you want to be clear that she's not sleeping with everyone that she's being seen with. And it's so unfortunate that that's the first thing that comes to mind when, you know, a female has, you know, multiple suitors. And so, you know, it's unfortunate that we have to say that. It should be a given, because no one questions a man when he's dating, you know, more than one female. But again, it's the double standard. So, but I put that out there because I don't want people to think that I'm telling women to sleep around.
But you know what? It's a very common thing, or a very common disclaimer, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, you know, like I said, I'm a journalist, so I'm always picking up different information, you know, pop culture. It's like with Lori Harvey dating Michael B. Jordan. It's like, oh, she's been around. It's like, huh? She's dating. She's 23.
Yes.
She's gorgeous, 23, 24. I wish I had known that.
If she wasn't in the spotlight, no one would even, say anything. But when you have the media and they are able to see into your life or glimpse into your life, then they, you know, people are likely to judge, and they don't really know what's going on in your life. But they see a little snapshot, and that gives them that opportunity to make a judgment on it. But I will say, you know, she got a hot eligible bachelor. So kudos to her for that one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
About it, as you think about it, it's like, wow, if they're saying that, I would hate to see It's like, honey, I'm so glad I'm not out there, because it's like it would be the same thing. Because I've never ascribed to, once I really learned, it's like, wait a minute. I remember one time I had 2 dates. I had a lunch date and a dinner date. And I remembered asking my girlfriend, I was younger, much younger. I said, so how do I do that? She said, with a smile. And so it was.
I love it. Absolutely.
And the thing about it was really just getting to know. And I found for me, that it has been easier where it's like, you're not putting your eggs in one basket. You're not getting emotionally entangled with that one person. That's probably not, so it's so many different advantages to that. But I like that you said that.
What I'll say to this too, though, Francyne, with the positive side to that is that if a guy is truly, truly, truly into you and really, wants to make you exclusive, he will do that. He will actually say to you, you know what, I really want to make this just between you and I so that we can take this to the next level or what have you, but I want to be exclusive with you. You know what I mean? And so that to me, says, hey, listen, if he's into, playing games, he's not going to say that. But if he's really into me and wanting to be with me, he's going to like, hey, I don't want you seeing anybody else. Let's make this thing exclusive, So you're able to kind of see really what you're dealing with.
Yeah. I have enjoyed talking to you. I have put up your information because you did mention that just because you're based in Milwaukee, that your clients are all over the world. So I put up the website. I thought I changed it, but they can still reach you through the KimberlyMcGowan.com and then your Instagram as far as if they're interested. I thought we changed it, but I apologize. Let me see.
No, so if there's some singles out there that's interested in learning more about the agency, how we operate, what steps they can take, they can definitely go to our website. It is www.professionalsinglesagency.com, or they can follow us on social media. Our IG handle is psagency.co. So definitely, if you are single out there and interested in learning more about our services, definitely let us know. Look us up on the website or Instagram.
What's some advice for moving, as we are still in the midst of Love Month, although it's the shortest month with, as far as even with Black History, but what's some advice moving into 2021 for someone that is looking for love? What would you tell them with your expertise and your years of experience? What would you tell them to do other than, of course, put you in place as a matchmaker? What is the advice that you give?
I would say, if you're really serious about, looking for love and, you want to make this experience fun for yourself, you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure on yourself to have to find someone. You want to enjoy the process. But then also, too, what I've, definitely told people to do in the past is that let people know in your circle who know you really well that you are ready to date and that you're looking for something serious, because these are the people who are closest to you and who really, really know you. And they may know someone who knows someone that's single that might be a good introduction for you. So it's not all about the apps or a matchmaker, but utilizing the resources that are right there in front of you.
That's good. That's good. Do you find that in your experience, Kimberly, this is so intriguing to me. So I'm going to let you go, but I just want to have one more question. Do you find that once you begin the process, the universe rewards your efforts when it comes to love, where it's like, where you are in the process, you've got the matchmaking going. I I'm a Gemini, so it's like I love variety and just a lot of different things. So it's like I got my girl over here setting me up, having me go on these three and out dates. And then, I've got a couple of dating apps open, and I'm doing this virtual thing until I decide I want to meet this person in person. And then my girlfriend, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I know somebody, because I know my girlfriend is like, girl, I don't like his girlfriend. I think you would be better. So, if your friend is not hooking you up, if she's married and she knows you want to be married, and then she doesn't hook you up, it's like, I don't know, is that really your friend? Do you know what I mean? But you have friends that you can hook them up with. So it's like you got all these things coming. Do you think eventually you find love?
I do believe that the universe will open up. I do believe in law of attraction. So I do believe what you put out, you get back. So I totally 100%. And that's with anything, not just love, but anything that you put energy into and have positive vibes about is going to bring something back to you. So, so I definitely truly believe that. And, I definitely would want to say to people, life is really, is short, right? So do the things that you love to do. Don't change who you are to fit into a box to try to attract someone else, because the right person is going to be attracted to you. And I think that people should just remember that they are of value and someone knows that value.
Yeah. And we'll love this food, baby.
Yes. Yes.
Hallelujah. It's like, give me a few more rides on the Peloton. So yes, that is awesome. Oh my God, it has been such a delight. I just love, and this was good. The only, as far as we know, Black matchmaker in Wisconsin, making it happen, making some love connections. We've got your information. Let me put that up real quick as we close out the show. www.kimberlymcgowan.com, Instagram, and that's where we can find the @PSA agency Instagram as well. Okay, and you take clients from all over, correct?
Absolutely.
Because this virtual
I don't take any clients like in other countries. So I don't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's
US only. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely US. So yeah, this is North America.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like, my God. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Please don't hesitate to come back, because we could talk some more, and just it's it has to be an awesome thing, and to be a part of people's lives where you're creating like these legacies of families.
Yes.
That's what's up, so thank you so much. Good luck to you, and we'll see you soon. Okay,
thank you so much for having me, Francyne. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Yes, it was. I appreciate you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, guys. Wasn't that interesting? Oh my God. Are you guys in the mood for love? I know I am. And I'm encouraged by everything, so whether it's a matchmaker or dating apps or somebody hooking me up, I think I'm ready. So are you guys ready? Anyway, thanks guys for tuning in. Showing the books, and we will talk to you guys soon. Tune in. We've got some shows scheduled for next week. I'm not sure who the guests are at this point. I've got to look at the calendar. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you soon.